They prayed, O Creator of the universe, we are glad. What you have produced is well done. Since ritualistic acts have now been established soundly in this human form, we shall all share the sacrificial oblations. Purport: the importance of sacrifice is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, verse 10. The Lord confirms there that in the beginning of creation, Brahma created the Manus along with the ritualistic sacrificial method and blessed them. Continue these sacrificial rites, and you will be gradually elevated to your proper position of self-realization and will also enjoy material happiness. All the living entities created by Brahma are conditioned souls and are inclined to lord it over material nature. The purpose of sacrificial rituals is to revive gradually the spiritual realization of the living entities. That is the beginning of life within this universe. These sacrificial rituals, however, are intended to please the Supreme Lord. Unless one pleases the Supreme Lord, or unless one is Krishna conscious, one cannot be happy either in material enjoyment or in spiritual realization. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaha Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaha Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravan Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dehe Navai Bhogavata Shayano Bahuchintaya Sarge Nupachite Krodhad Utsasarjaha Tadvapuhu. Once Brahma lay down with his body stretched at full length. He was very concerned that the work of creation had not proceeded apace, and in a sullen mood he gave up that body too. Yehi yanta mutta kesha ahayastenga jagire sarpak prasarpatah krura naga bhogoru kandaraha. O dear Vidura, the hair that dropped from that body transformed into snakes, and even while the body crawled along with its hands and feet contracted, there sprang from it ferocious serpents and nagas with their hoods expanded. Sa'atmanam manyamana kritta krityam ivat mabhu tada manun sasarjante Manasa loka bhagavan bhavanan. One day Brahma, the self-born, the first living creature, felt as if the object of his life had been accomplished. At that time he evolved from his mind the Manus, who promote the welfare activities of the universe. Te byaksos rijat sviyam Puram Purusham Atmavan Tan Drishtva Ye Pura Srishtaha Prashashangshuh Prajapatim. The self-possessed creator gave them his own human form. On seeing the Manus, those who had been created earlier, the demigods, the Gandharvas, and so on, applauded Brahma, the Lord of the universe. Aho etad jagat srashtah sukritam batate kritam pratishtita kriya yasmin sakam annam adamahe. They prayed, O Creator of the universe, we are glad. What you have produced is well done. Since ritualistic acts have now been established soundly in this human form, we shall all share the sacrificial oblations. Hare Krishna. So nice that you chose to come today. It's a great sacrifice to come to the big temple on the hill. Big or small, for creation standards, it's big, I'm sure, for Indian standards. And for standards of some other places around the world, it's not so big. But it's not the physical size of the place that matters, it's what happens there. So today, this morning, we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, a great book of knowledge, very specific knowledge, spiritual knowledge. Actually, in one sense, not just spiritual, but rather devotional. In one great book, The Nectar of Devotion, our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, explains that in terms of spirituality, there are two kinds of happiness one can experience. One is called spiritual happiness, and the other is devotional happiness. So spiritual happiness comes when one is detached from everything material. And one experiences the cessation of all material miseries. That brings great happiness. And that's called spiritual happiness. And devotional happiness is the happiness of one experiences when one is connected in devotional service, pure devotional service, or we could say love with God, the Supreme Lord. So that's spiritual, devotional actually. Happiness is said to be many, many, many times greater than spiritual happiness even. And that spiritual happiness is many, many times greater than anything that can be experienced within this material world. So what the Srimad Bhagavatam is offering actually is, so it is said, is the topmost form of happiness, devotional happiness. And therefore it's not easily understandable unless one is guided by an expert teacher, as Srila Prabhupada said, the professor of transcendental science, the spiritual master. Therefore, you saw that along with the verses, we also read the purport, which was given by Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who compiled this great book by following the explanations of the previous great spiritual masters, acharyas. So whatever he put in his Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the condensed message of the whole Guru Parampara, the whole chain of disciplic succession. And for those who actually read this, study this, and practice this knowledge, they can see that and experience that these purports, these explanations are actually very, very valuable. Actually, they cannot be, the importance of them cannot be overemphasized, because it's easy to get lost in all this, like now we are reading about the creation of the universe and how Lord Brahma created one thing after the other, one being after the other. So it's easy to lose track of what's happening, like, some serpents appeared. Before that, we read about some other interesting things that appeared, like that twilight and that nice lady who was playing around and bewildering the demons, and so many other things that he created. And like this part in the Bhagavatam, many other parts in the Bhagavatam have many other interesting stories, interesting incidents to tell about, and one can easily lose track of what's actually important in the whole picture. Therefore, like one other example, in the whole Vedic literature, there's so much to be heard about, so much to be read about, and therefore it's easy to get lost and lose track of what's actually the main message. Like, what is that body of knowledge trying to tell us. So, how this book came about, this Srimad Bhagavatam, is that the compiler of the whole Vedic literature, Srila Vyasadeva, was not satisfied with everything that he wrote. And then he met his spiritual master, Narada Muni, and he asked, why is it so that I am not satisfied even after completing such great work, compiling all the Vedic literatures? And Narada Muni told him, it's because people will miss the point very easily. They will miss the point. You gave them reasons, good reasons, to entertain themselves with other things, other than devotional service, other than their relationship with the Supreme. So therefore you have misled them. You actually misled them. So you should write something where you will actually speak only about the Supreme Lord and His devotees and devotional service. And that's how Srimad Bhagavatam was compiled. So therefore, at least according to the Vedic version, that's the most important book, because that's the book that deals explicitly with that subject. Like when you get a job, that's important to people, right? When they get a job, what's the main thing that people are looking for when they get a job? Money, right? They have some steady source of income so that you can survive. But together with the job, you get, together with the salary, you get some other things. It depends on where you're working. Some conditions are better, some companies are better, some companies are not so good. Like if you get a job in a very nice company in America, for example, you get fully paid health insurance. Some of them have a gym at their working place, which is free of charge. Some of them have perhaps a swimming pool, and they get all other interesting side benefits, many kinds of different side benefits. But the main thing is that you have a place to work and you have a steady source of income. So that's the main thing. Other things come along with that. They are like less important. They're just like spices that make the meal more tasty, but they're not the main thing. The main thing of the meal is that you satisfy your hunger and that you have strength to do what you need to do, to work, And the rest, it tastes good, it's, looks good, that's kind of a less important thing. So likewise, in life, Srimad Bhagavatam says that it has the most important message about life. And other things are also important to some extent, but without knowing the main point, it's all like superficial, it's all insubstantial. Like if you got a job in a company with no salary and they have a swimming pool, they have a gym which you can use free of charge, they have, even rooms there you can rest, but there's no food and there's no money. I doubt anyone would like to get employed there, because the main need is not provided, the main thing is not provided, the salary is not there, the money is not there. It's what people go there for. So likewise, Srimad Bhagavatam says that this spiritual knowledge, or actually to be more precise, devotional knowledge about who is the creator of everything and why we are here in this world, why we are not somewhere else where there are less problems, why we are in this world which is full of problems, a world which is full of selfishness, a world which is full of unhealthy forms of competition, envy, where one living being thrives, succeeds by harming another living being, That's the standard in this world. If you want to survive, if you want to eat, every living being is eating another living being. So in order for someone to succeed and be strong, someone needs to die. So it's like that in the animal kingdom, it's like that in the plant kingdom, everywhere. One living being is food for another. So these are the most important questions that need to be answered according to Srimad Bhagavatam. Why we are here? What's the point in being here? What we can do with this life? And according to Srimad Bhagavatam, the most important thing to do is recognize that we are in this world because of our envy towards the Lord. We want to lord it over the material nature. We want to exploit the material nature. We want to enjoy separate from God, separate from the Lord. That's why we are here. And if we want to get out of here, or at least move in that direction, then we need to recognize that we ourselves are responsible for being here, and we ourselves are responsible for everything that is happening to us. Everything good that happens to us and everything bad that happens to us is we are responsible. We don't make all the arrangements. The arrangements are made by superior forces, by the material nature and so on, but we are responsible. And even if the greatest injustice in the world happens to us, the Bhagavatam says we are responsible because we did something in the past that put us in that situation. So birth, death, old age and disease are the real problems of life according to the Bhagavatam. To get born is not easy. It's not very pleasant. To live is not easy. It's a struggle every day. If you stop struggling, you die. That's just the way it is. If you stop struggling, you don't survive. There's no living being in this world that doesn't struggle. There's one example that Srila Prabhupada liked to give. It's like the lion is the king of the jungle, but just because he's the king of the jungle, he doesn't get food served to him in front of him. He has to go and hunt. And hunting is not easy because other living beings that are hunted, they don't like to be hunted. They like to live and survive. But the lion has to eat, and he has to eat that other animals, so he has to catch them and kill them. So it's hard work. It's not a joke. So that's how it is. Struggling in this world is the standard. And one other very important issue with that is that it's all temporary. So no matter how hard we struggle, no matter what we do, no matter how big of an empire we build in this world, it's all going to end at one point in time. And even if it lasts for thousands or millions of years, then we will have to go. We will have to die and leave it, and we won't even know what happened to it. We'll get completely disconnected from it. So these are the real problems of life according to Bhagavatam. And one solves these problems of life by taking a serious interest in them. That has to be there. We have to take a serious interest in them. We have to recognize that this is important and try to, oh hello, there's someone else outside. Perhaps the door is locked. Jai. So many coming today. So that's how it is. It may seem like a very grim, dark message, but it's not. It's actually very bright. It's actually very encouraging. Because the Bhagavatam tells us that we're all eternal, spiritual souls, and that we don't have to live in this world, which is temporary, full of death, misery. And even if one wants to live in this world, the Bhagavatam gives the greatest recipe how to live in this world in the best possible way. And that's explained here by performing sacrifices which are pleasing to the Supreme Lord. If one is not devoted to the Lord, then at least one should please the Lord by following His instructions in the scriptures. But the best thing to do is to just surrender to the Supreme Lord and become His devotee. That's the conclusion of the Bhagavatam. And by doing that, then one is completely taken care of. And that's what this great book, Srimad Bhagavatam, is talking about. Hare Krishna, thank you for coming. Please, you can sit somewhere. So that's the main message. And these things, what God created first, what God created second, the serpents, the manus, and everything. It's good to know if we can. But if we forget all that, we can just remember this one thing, that the main point is that this world is not meant for us. It's actually not meant for any living being. It's a prison, basically. Material world is a prison house. It's where people who are punished are sent. So that's the material world. And one can try to be a good prisoner here and get promoted to a better cell, to, get better food maybe, get less work than the other prisoners, but it's a prison nonetheless. Like Brahma, he created this, he created that. Brahma is the main actor in this chapter. He's creating many things, but according to Bhagavatam, he's also a prisoner. Everyone's a prisoner, from the top person in the material world down to the last insect or bacteria. They're all prisoners. We're all prisoners. And if somebody disagrees with that and thinks they're not a prisoner, they can just try to be independent of the laws of nature. It's not possible. It's just the laws of nature are insurmountable, and we cannot bend them. We can just be bent by them. That's the thing. So the message of the Bhagavatam is that there is a better world, there is a nicer world to live in. It's the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, Goloka Vrindavan, which is here on the pictures. We have some pictures of Vaikuntha also. It's not imaginary, it's real. And if one tries to follow what the Bhagavatam says and tries to live according to that method, then one can actually experience that it is real. And even in this life, one can feel spiritual, devotional happiness. It's like all the things that we do here, sing, kirtan for the Lord, offer something, some bhoga to Him, and take the prasadam. These are all very simple activities. Clean the temple, clean the Lord's temple, do some service for the Lord. These are all very simple activities, but they actually, when one gets absorbed in them, in the proper state of consciousness, that I am doing this just to please the Lord without any desire for profit or without any desire for my personal satisfaction, then one can feel this spiritual happiness. And that's perhaps the weirdest thing in this world. That people, when they see it, they are very much attracted to it. No pay, no payment, no vacation, just service all the time. That's the ideal, service to the Lord all the time. And that makes people happy. We are here because of that, and there are many other devotees, those trying to become devotees and those who are more advanced devotees around the world who are doing that 24 hours a day. So we are in a position of practicing that. We're trying to go in that direction. But even while practicing, even while we are still just only practitioners, we can feel that happiness, devotional happiness. So that's the main message of the Bhagavatam, that happiness is not in this world, happiness is not in trying to achieve anything within this world, even though it may seem very promising, very concrete, very solid. It's here. It's not something, somewhere else, something that is to come after you die. It's something that you can do right now. But whatever we get in this world, we'll have to leave it. And that's perhaps the greatest pain. When you have something nice and you have to leave it. There's a curse, they say. I think it's a Jewish curse. That's how some people think, at least. That's, may you have it and may you lose it. And then you'll see what the pain is. If you have something and then you lose it, that's the greatest pain. If you don't have anything, you have nothing to lose. But if you gain something which is very attractive, which brings you great happiness, then when you're separated from it, it brings the greatest amount of sorrow. And that's just the fact of this world. One doesn't have to be a scientist or a great philosopher to understand that everything in this world is temporary. It's just plainly visible all around. So, yeah. This chapter deals with creation, how Brahma created the universe. It's a good topic to discuss, but it's a good topic to discuss in the light of this knowledge which is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, how this relates to the Lord, how this relates to us, to our position. That's how it should be heard, and that's how everything should be heard. And in this way, we can study everything in this world. If we know how it connects and relates to the Lord, how it connects with our relationship with the Lord, how we can use that knowledge in the Lord's service, then it's very, very valuable. Otherwise, it is very easily a great distraction. So, thank you very much for taking your time to come. Just so you know, we have a full set of this very same book, Srimad Bhagavatam, available. It's there on the table. So, if somebody is inspired to read that, you can also check it out and maybe get one set for you and for everybody else. It's really, I think, the greatest book out there, because it really deals with topics that are nowhere else to be found. It's really a jewel, precious jewel. So thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, thank you very much. So on next Saturday we have a festival in the city center, Ratha Yatra. So if you like to come, you're all invited. It starts at 10 o'clock at the main train station, Glavni Kolodvor, it's called. So from 10 o'clock it will start there and gradually will go to the main square and back. So there will be a procession. We will pull Lord Jagannath's cart, a little bit smaller than in Jagannath Puri, a little bit smaller, but that's what we can do here. So you're all cordially invited. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktavrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.